hit the ground, playing dead I'll never do. Gotta keep an eye on you. Patience is wearing thin, paper thin, promises broke again. What a sin, but it only feeds my energy. So don't expect no sympathy. Smoke, fire, it's all going up. Don't you know I ain't afraid to shed a little blood? Smoke, fire, flares are going up. Flares are going up. Oh, won't wave my white flag, no. This time I won't let go. I'd rather die than give up the fight, give up the fight, give up the fight, give up the fight. Won't wave my white flag, no. Oh, I won't go down slow. I'd rather die than give up the fight, give up the fight, give up the fight, give up the fight.
All right. Good morning. Oh, I need to adjust my microphone here real quick. There we go. That's better. So, wow, I love that song. 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 Did I say I love that song? I love that song. It's so freaking great. So, yeah, that is amazing. And by the way, there we go. The recording didn't put into play, but now it's here. We got this. So anyways, great morning, great afternoon, whatever time it is. You know what the best part is you get to choose how your morning's going to be, how your afternoon's going to be, your day, by controlling your mind, by choosing how it's going to be. And that right there is a little key that will open up a big door to a wonderful world if you'll just but harness that power. And that rocks. So again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is. All right, so for here, a couple little house cleaning items here. Make sure that you have something to take notes with, okay? You gotta have something to take notes with. Don't just come here just to passively listen. I have news for you, that's not gonna help you that much. The way that's going to help you in terms of what's being shared here is if you're allowing it to move in your mind. And I can tell you what, through my personal experience, taking notes, writing, that really starts everything moving in a big, beautiful direction. Think about this. When you externalize the idea onto paper, those ideas are there and you see them. And why that's important is because you think from your ideas. So take diligent notes and use this information. Now, in terms of what we're studying this wonderful, beautiful book written by Rami Abatrawi. Rami is here in the call right now, by the way, just to let you know. And in terms of where Rami got the information that changed his life, which delivered the results in his life because he used them, well, that came from this book right here, Think and Grow Rich. Now, I'm going to go over Think and Grow Rich real quick to help you to see the importance of this book. This book was written by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill was in search for why successful people were successful. So he was introduced into a way of thinking by a guy named Andrew Carnegie, and Andrew Carnegie instructed him to diligently research success by interviewing people. And you know what he found? He found that the reason why people were successful, the people that he interviewed were successful, was because of how they thought. It's because they had a certain philosophy in life that they lived by. Not somebody else's philosophy, it's a philosophy that they embedded within them. He discovered that they had a powerful mindset. And what did he do? He ended up writing this book at a time when there was a lot of people struggling with money, finances. I mean, you look at it, it's for men and women who resent poverty. He made it during the Depression, and it opened up us to a new world of thinking and possibilities solely because the changes that you seek are going to come from how you think. I mean, just look at the title, Think and Grow Rich. Now, Rami, here, when he was young, 12 years old, he was introduced to this book. It came into his life, and what he did was he studied it. He dove deep into the book, reading it countless times, embedding it as part of what's automatic in his thinking process. I think about that, 12 years old, studying this book, reading it many times. And by the way, that's a little tidbit here for you. It's not going to do you good to just read it once and say, wow, I know it. I mean, Ramey's actually shared with me how people come up to him and say, wow, I read your book and fantastic. It's an easy read. They read it in 2 hours. Okay, well, fine. Okay, well, now what are you going to do with it? See, and this is where repetition comes into play. This is where the principle of autosuggestion comes into play, which is actually in this book as well. Now, having said this, Ramey, he embedded it within his mindset, just like what I shared. He made it automatic in his thinking, which enabled him to make quantum leap growth in his life, growth that was illogical to most people. But see, it was rooted in how he was thinking. And what's so beautiful about this book is he shares within this book how he thinks. And that right there will change everything in your life if you'll just open your mind to that. It's so important that when you see someone who's living the type of life that you would love to live, that you don't try to emulate what they do. And the reason why is because everything we do has a motivation behind it. And the motivation is a feeling. Well, what causes you to feel is how you think. See, if you really want to live the way that Ramey's living, it's not what he does that you should emulate. It's how he thinks. It's his mindset. It's his philosophy, which ties into what I just shared with you in terms of why these two books are so important. It's how you think, your mindset. Your mindset's what's set in your mind. What's set in your mind are your beliefs, your habits. Your beliefs and habits cause you to think things automatically. The overwhelming majority of your life is run on autopilot based on those beliefs and habits. When you change that, everything changes in your outer world in exact proportion to those changes that you made inside, which is why I love this book so much, because he shows it so beautifully in terms of how he thinks. Now, today we're going to be digging into the importance of not allowing alibis or excuses to be any part of your life. This one chapter I thought was brilliant for Ramey to start off with, because alibis and excuses are something that the overwhelming majority of us live with in our lives, and we don't even know that it's happening. Why? Because it's a habit. So what we've got to do is we've got to get rid of that bad habit. So I hope you're ready. You ready? Ready? Here we go. Let's dig into this and dive into the importance of not allowing yourself to have any alibis or excuses. I mean, look at that. Amazing. No alibis, no excuses. All right. Now, here he points out from Think and Grow Rich. Let me adjust this here on my picture here. Doesn't seem to be right. Okay. He points out this. The final chapter of Think and Grow Rich identifies the common excuses for not succeeding in life, or for failing to even start on the road to success. And it's wonderfully pointed out here in the book, okay, in Think and Grow Rich. But again, I want you to notice how here he's bringing it to you as in the first chapter as something that's really important, okay? Now, here he points out, just as I decided to reject all of them, you should examine these as well as potentially countless others in order to determine whether or not you are using alibis or excuses. Then do the essential work of casting them aside. Now, I want you to pay close attention to this first sentence right here, the first part of this sentence. Just as I, what? Decided to reject them. Now, your greatest power is your ability to choose your thoughts. You have within your conscious mind the ability to accept or reject. You get to decide what you're going to accept or reject. And here he's pointing out from the very get-go that he decided to reject all of them, not some of them, all of them. See, that's a mindset. That is something that's in him. He made the decision to reject all of them. Now, this is important. I brought this in many of the other calls before. This is something that Tony Robbins says that I love a lot. It's in your moments of decision that your destiny's created. Now, again, notice how this was early on in his life when he started to study this, but he decided to reject them. And now look at at what's being reaped in his life. He planted the seed, he reaffirmed it, and he made it part of his mindset. My question for you is, are you going to decide to let go of what we're going to be talking about here in your life? If you do, if you make the decision to do so, I can promise you, if you just do this one thing alone with this one chapter in your life, you'll see massive, beautiful changes in your life sooner than you think. So again, just as I decided to reject all of them, you should examine these. Examine them. That's what we're going to do, as well as potentially countless others, in order to determine whether or not you are using alibis or excuses. And then what does he say? And then do the essential work of casting them aside. Now, there's another word I want you to pay close attention to here on this top line. Examine. Another way to phrase that is to evaluate and reevaluate. And why I'm bringing that up is because the way you change your belief is through evaluation, is through examination. And the more you examine this, the more you evaluate, the more you put into play a thought process where you're able to recognize and then either accept or reject ideas. You know what starts to happen? Your belief increases. And that's important, because your belief is the law from which you operate. No one ever goes further than what they believe to be true. So make sure that you're examining this, you're reevaluating, and constantly maneuvering through your mind using your reasoning factor as we go through this. Now, here are some of the ifs identified in Think and Grow Rich that are used as alibis. Now, here he edited some of them. But here I want you to ask yourself, again, how much of these are you engaging with yourself? So let's go over this. If I didn't have a spouse and family, if I had enough pull, if I had money, if I had a good education, I'd go for that if only I had someone to help me. Things would be really great for me if only I embraced past opportunities. That's the woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? If my family understood me, I would go for it. If I lived in a big city, I'm living in a small city. If only I lived in a big city. And by the way, you don't have to live in a big city to be successful. And then there's more. If I could get a job, if I had good health. How about this one? If I only had time. Boy. Think about that one real quick. It's interesting. A lot of people say, if I only had time. I have news for you. Rami has the same 24 hours that you do. Let that one soak in when you say you don't have time. And he's able to do it. But why is he able to do it? You know why? Because he thinks differently. How about this one? If times were better, if people understood me. Nobody understands me. Never say that, by the way, because that's just going to attract that more into your life. How about this one? If conditions were only different. If I could live my life over, if I did not fear what they would say. That's a dangerous one. Caring about what other people think about you is horrible. What other people think about you is none of your business. The only opinion of you that matters is yours. If I've only been given a chance, I got news for you. You've been given lots of chances. And you've been given lots of opportunities. If people did not have it in for me. Oops, sorry about that. If I were only younger, oh my God, this one hit me. Foolishness. You know what you have if you're older that the young ones don't have? You have what's called experience. You have wisdom. Young ones, yeah, they have more time, but really none of us know how much time we have. But this is something that a lot of people say. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Oh, blah, blah. Terrible. If only I could do what I want. You can. You make a choice. If only I had been born rich. I got news for you. You're already rich. You're just unaware of it. How about these? Here's some more. If I could just get started. You know, it's the start that stops most people. Why does the start stop most people? Because the start usually requires you to act on an idea that's not in harmony to how you've been used to thinking. But I got news for you. Once you start, you're actually halfway there. If I were only free. Well, you are free. Because you can choose whatever thoughts you want to think. The only thing you have control over is your mind. Is what's in your mind. You don't have control over anything else. You are free. You're just living in an imaginal prison. You think there's walls there. They feel they're real, but they're really not there. They're all imaginary. If I could just get a break, if I could only get out of debt, if I hadn't failed. Failure's a blessing. How many of you have heard of WD-40? You know what that stands for? Water displacement 40th formula. They failed 39 times. If I only knew how. You don't need to know how. You got to discover how. This one here keeps people stuck majorly. If you allow yourself to continually think about how you're going to do something before you make the decision, you know what's going to happen? This is what always happens. You're going to end up talking yourself out of it. You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. There's not a single thing that you're experiencing out there, this technology, your phone, anything, where in the beginning, someone didn't know how to do it. They had to discover how. How about this? If everybody didn't oppose me, if I were sure of myself, in other words, if I only had confidence, faith in me. You want to hear something interesting about that? There's not a single one of you who doesn't have any problem at all with regards to living according to faith. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. You're faithful to the unseen reality of what you believe to be true and the habit you have right now, and that's delivering your results. The issue is you don't know how to adjust your belief in yourself, your confidence in yourself, using that. So if luck were not against me, if I had not been born under the wrong star, if I had not lost all my money. This one's interesting. Because Rami lost all his money. He got it back. If I had a different past, who cares about your past? Your past isn't even here anymore. Unless you imagine it in the present. You can't, and by the way, you can't even change the past. There's nothing you could do to change the past. If I only had a business of my own, if other people would listen to me, if I had courage to see myself as I really am. I mean, really soak this in, my friends. Look at all these. How many of you, as you're hearing these, recognize that, oh shit, I've been using those? Well, you don't have to. And if you have been using them without knowing it, and in other words, it's just automatically happening, the only reason why is because it's part of your mindset. Now, what does Ramey say here? He says, have you ever used one of these or similar excuses? Many people lean on such alibis. In other words, they use it as their support, not only to justify their lack of success, but also why they never even attempted to achieve their dreams. Now, really soak in what I just said right there. Remember how I said, and again, this is the most beautiful definition of faith I've ever heard. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. And here, Ramey's pointing out that many people lean on these alibis. They have faith in those alibis. They're loyal to those unseen realities of them not having what they want, all the BS. And BS is not really bullshit. It's actually a belief system, okay? And then it takes control of their lives and they never achieve their dreams. Now, notice this next sentence here. I certainly could have defaulted to any of these alibis and many more. He's sharing with you that he was there and it would have been very easy for him to accept them, considering all of the evidence around him that was saying, no way, it's not going to happen for you. He could have lived his life according to what his senses were. He's pointing it out very clearly here. And what are some of the examples? After all, I dropped out of school at 12, left home and remained homeless until I was 17. Yet I learned to reject all of the ifs, as should you. Now, I think this is absolutely brilliant. This paragraph here is brilliant because he's sharing with you how he had every reason to accept all of these, because the evidence was there stating that it's not going to happen for you. But again, he decided not to. Now think about that. He's revealing to you what was happening in his life materially, all of which the outer world was saying no way, but he said, yes way. He didn't accept impossible as part of his opinion. You should write that in your notes. Impossible is an opinion. And if you look in terms of all of these alibis here, you'll find that the mindset there is rooted in impossible being an opinion. You know what's really cool? Whenever I go to Ramey's talk with Ramey, he's just, impossible is nowhere in his mind. He thinks from I'm possible. And what tops it off, there's not even any thought of it because it's habitual. Now listen to what he says here. Ignore luck. Now, again, he's sharing with you how he's thinking. I avoid using the word luck, especially when people tell me that they just wish that they had better luck or could catch a lucky break. There are lots of people who say that. You know what? There are people I speak with, and I'll be talking about Ramey, I'll be talking about myself, and even people, my relatives and stuff like that. Oh, but that person's just lucky. That person's just lucky. That's a bunch of bullshit. It's not true. You know that everything happens according to law. It's just that he worked in harmony with attracting how he would love his life to be. Remember, like causes lead to like effects. Opposites do not attract. So again, he's sharing, I avoid using the word luck, especially when people tell me that they just wish that they had better luck or could catch a lucky break. They may believe that success, now, this is again really brilliant. Look how he put the word in believe. They may believe that success, especially financial riches, come to the lucky, and they look for some way to become that lucky gambler. Why? Because they believe that success is luck. And it's not true. Success happens according to law, and that success will happen for someone who enters and works with that law unknowingly, just as well as someone who works with it knowingly. The whole point is it gets delivered regardless. And then he points out, but if you think this way, just as the house always wins in the long run in a casino, so will life beat you down. Notice how the mindset of people who think like that, everything's always dependent on the outside. And here he's saying, no, take control of how you're thinking. If you want success in your life, power in your life, you have to think successful thoughts. You have to think powerful thoughts. If you want wealth in your life, you have to think thoughts of wealth, of supply, not its opposite. And luck is not part of the game. And then he goes to point out, as I demonstrate on my own journey to success, I never expected lucky breaks, though I did pivot instantly to take advantage of clear opportunities. Now that section right there, huge. Again, he's sharing with you what's going on in his mind, how he thinks. And here he demonstrates through his own journey of success, in other words, writing of this book. And remember, he decided he was going to write this book before his success, but he decided that he was going to write it only after his success so that he can demonstrate to you the power of your mind. But again, he's demonstrating his journey of success, showing to you that he never expected lucky breaks. And that he did, again, pivot. And now I love this last part here, pivot, okay? There's a chapter in Think and Grow Rich and Organized Planning where Napoleon Hill talks about how most people fail because of their lack of persistence in changing their plans to take place of those plans which fail. In other words, they don't pivot. And here he's sharing with you, first of all, he doesn't expect lucky breaks. And then on top of that, he pivots instantly. Now pay close attention to that. Though I did pivot instantly to take advantage of clear opportunities. So what does that mean when you dissect that? That means embedded within him is that he is what? Decisive. There's a whole chapter in Think and Grow Rich on decision. Now think about that. Just in this little section here, he's showing you, bam, I don't expect lucky breaks. You know why? Because I am my own luck. And then on top of that, I'm decisive. I pivot instantly. I look at things for what they are. And by the way, you can, if you go deeper, you'll recognize that he recognizes that everything is fundamentally meaningless and that he gives meaning to what things are there, but he makes a decision. Okay, that's not working. Boom, we make a change. That's not working. Boom, we make a change. And you keep on maneuvering through life that way. And that's how you get what you want. My question for you is that in you? And also another question for me to you is, do you recognize how this way of thinking eliminates all of this? Now let's go deeper. Ignore fear. In addition to the ifs, the last chapter of Think and Grow Rich also covers the 6 basic ghosts of fear that often hang over people, preventing them from achieving success. And what are those fears? Fear of poverty, criticism, fear of illness, fear of losing love, fear of old age, and the fear of death. Now, it's important for you to recognize fear, though, is that it's an emotion. And that fear just doesn't come out of nowhere. Have you ever observed that? When you're feeling fear, it just doesn't come out of nowhere. Something's causing it. See, fear is an effect that turns into a cause, and most people live from the feelings that they have. They don't understand that something's causing the feelings. Having said this, because they live with these ghosts of fear and they just are embellished by whatever those feelings are of that fear, what happens? They end up staying stuck. They don't move forward. It paralyzes them. All of these, in terms of these ghosts, they come from just nothing more than a habit of worrying and doubting. But see, most people are unaware of that, which means they're haunted by that ghost of fear. They don't understand that they can change that powerful emotion that cripples them and live a different life where they have a tremendous amount of confidence and faith in themselves if they'll just ignore the fear and instead give their life to how they would love things to be. But again, think about this. It cripples most people from achieving success. The fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of illness, fear of losing love, fear of old age, fear of death. All of it is worrying about it, worrying, doubting, worrying, doubting. Then he says this, but I overcame the fears. As well as Hill calls the seventh basic evil, susceptibility to negative influences. But how did he overcome the fear? What's the opposite of fear? Fear, faith. He developed an incredible belief in himself, which then led to that faith, which eliminates the fear. You tell Rami he can't do something, he'll laugh at you. He says, okay, I'll go do it. But it's inside of him and it's embedded in his mindset. And how we overcame it was by using this information over and over again, by reevaluating. Now listen to what he says. He says here, I began with nothing, gained great wealth many times, lost that wealth, and then rebuilt the wealth and surpassed my previous accomplishments. I ultimately triumphed over the constant negative influences that surrounded me in the world, particularly those naysayers who insisted that I would never achieve what seemed to be an impossible goal. See, again, impossible is not his opinion. And it's automatic in him. He doesn't care about what other people think about him. He understands and he automatically thinks from how the only opinion of himself that matters is his own. And it's a habit for him. And he's revealing it to you right here. Now think about that. He began with nothing, gained great wealth many times, lost the wealth, but then rebuilt it and surpassed his previous accomplishments. There's a funny thing that he shares with me, and I love the kid in him when he says this. He goes, he's talking about all this stuff that he's doing, because when he goes in, he doesn't go halfway in, he goes all freaking in, okay? And then he points out, he goes, with what's happening here, I'm either going to go broke or I'm going to be 10 times richer than I am now. But you know what? It really doesn't matter, because if I go broke again, I'll just get it back and I'll make it even better. And I just laugh. I go, that's badass. And when I hear that, I go, okay, you know what? That's in me. That's in me. That's me. You know what? I'm going to consent to that philosophy. Think about that. He's sharing with you his mindset. He doesn't make things personal with regards to the results. He just looks at them for what they are, recognizes that it is what it is. And when it's not what he wants, boom, he just pivots, makes adjustments until he gets what he wants to be the material fact on the outside. And that's a habit for him. Falls down, gets back up, falls down, gets back up. I actually have this visual. He falls down, but he doesn't get back up. He jumps back up. He jumps back up and then he goes to it. So ignore fear. And let's go deeper. I love this. Oh my gosh. I love this. positive thinking is not enough. And it's not. All the positive thinking in the world is not going to help you unless you follow through with positive feeling and positive action. But now notice what he says here, though. Before I embarked on my journey to success and an extraordinary life, I had no education, no money, no friends, no thought I would succeed at anything. Now, again, I want you to pay close attention to how he had every reason to live with these alibis. Okay? The fear of poverty could have instantly what? Crippled me, he says. But understanding the principles of Think and Grow Rich helped me to overcome the obstacles that would otherwise have blocked me from achieving my goals. Now, let's talk about the word understanding. Notice how he didn't say this. The fear of poverty could have easily crippled me, but knowing the principles of Think and Grow Rich helped me to overcome the obstacles that otherwise would have blocked me from achieving my goals. He didn't say knowing it. He said by understanding it. And guess what? The only way you understand anything is through the application. It's by using it. So he's revealing to you that he implemented this way of thinking in his mind, which led him to understand it. I heard something beautiful the other day, and it ties to how you think and how, within your heart is that subconscious program, which is the foundation, right? As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? And this is what was so cool. You've got to pay close attention to where you place your foot. Now think about your foot. That's the foundation, right? On the ground. You have to pay close attention to where you place your foot because your foot is under standing. That rocks. That's so good. How you stand, how you, that, because that's an effect. And here he's pointing this out in terms of, he rooted within him the principles. He read it again and again and again. He studied it again and again and again, over and over and over again, using it in his thought process until it became automatic in his mind. Which then helped him to overcome the obstacles that would have blocked him from achieving his goals, that helped him to overcome what his senses were seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. It enabled him to ignore the evidence that was there and instead be loyal to that unseen reality, which is a life that was extraordinary inside, of which the outside, there was no evidence. Write this in your notes. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Then he goes further. In fact, I stopped thinking about obstacles and instead, now pay attention, always translated them into opportunities that I could exploit by shifting immediately as needed. He's revealing to you that he formed a habit of translating these opportunities. Think about that. Remember, your mindset's what's set in your mind. What's set in your mind are your beliefs and habits. It's your beliefs and habits that cause you to think things automatically. In other words, he's sharing with you that this is autopilot in him. But he formed the habit. And he doesn't even think about it anymore. I'll share with you a simple demonstration of this from when I was over at his house recently. And he showed me a credenza that he bought. It's a beautiful credenza. He bought it, and he said, "See that credenza?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "Again, it's beautiful." He goes, I bought that. And then I was at the store and I'm at the place there. And I said, I wanted it delivered. And he says, but we couldn't deliver it. They couldn't deliver it for 3 days. And go, why can't you deliver it in 3 days? I want it now. This is crazy. See, that was an obstacle. He wanted it right away. And he says, you know what? I created an app that deals with, helping people to connect with getting cars. And go, well, what if I created an app where it could connect people who wanted big things like that delivered with people who could deliver right away, kind of like an Uber for that. And so what did he do? He looked at it. He saw the opportunity. He translated that obstacle into an opportunity. He created the app and bam, went out. And it's like, oh my gosh, look at that. That's pretty awesome. How many of you realize that's pretty freaking cool? And what's interesting is just like, he just said, oh, and then I thought this and not that. This. See, it was automatic in his way of thinking. He stops. He doesn't think of obstacles anymore as obstacles. He sees them only as opportunities. And that habit alone, oh my gosh, that could shift a tremendous amount in your life. Just adopting that one habit. Find the need, fill it. That's one of his beautiful jewels of wisdom that he says. It's in this book. That's one of the habits that he has. Now he goes further. I learned how to shift in whatever direction was optimal, except for one. Now listen to this. I never moved backwards. Never looked over my shoulder to the past with regret. I was doing a live the other day, and someone actually typed in the comments, what's your biggest regret? And I said, well, why would I tell you that? I says, you know what? If I just bring that in my past, Rami, you got to me. That's really great. Okay, so I said, to heck with that. You can't change the past anyways. I'm going to move forward. And so I didn't give any attention to that. And it brought out a whole bunch of hearts. People were so happy that I brought that into play. But notice though, again, he learned how to shift whatever direction was optimal, except for one. I never moved backwards, never looked over my shoulder to the past with regret. And it's so cool. You can feel that when you're having conversations with Rami, it's there. He lets go. He truly forgives and forgets. And by the way, those of you who are really wanting to forgive and forget, to let go, the only way you can do that is with a controlled imagination. See, this reveals that he controls his imagination. He doesn't allow those past images to come into the present, and he gives all of his attention to how he would love things to be. And that's what he gives his life to. That's in his mindset. And then he goes further. I made the ability to shift or pivot. Check this out. My default way of acting, one I maintain to this day. See, he's sharing with you this piece of his mindset. I'm going to read this again. I made my ability to shift or pivot my default. That means he made it automatic in him. And now he doesn't even think about it anymore. He just automatically does it. The same way that when you walk, think about this. When you walk, do you think about when you walk, how you're going to walk? No, you just walk. How about when you drive? How much of your driving do you think about? You don't think about it. Why? Because you condition yourself to drive. Now, I hope you've conditioned yourself to drive safely. Okay. But you don't even think about it. When you turn the steering wheel, when you're going to turn right, you don't go like this. I'm going to get my hand on the steering wheel, and I'm going to move the steering wheel this way and do this way. And then, you know what? I'm going to turn left. You don't say, I need to turn the left turning signal on. You don't think that unless you are trying to form the habit of doing it and you haven't been doing it. The point is it's automatic in you. And here he's sharing with you that he formed the habit of shifting or pivoting quickly. Was that a good snap? Hope so. That's a better one. Now he goes further. Think and Grow Rich is not only about positive thinking. Just having a thin layer of positive thinking over an ocean of negative thoughts will not generate a successful life, let alone an extraordinary one. By the raise of hands, how many of you want an extraordinary life? Raise your hand. Be honest here. I do. Okay, boom. Beautiful. Look at this. Well, if you want an extraordinary life, a life full of success, happiness, joy, health, wealth, all of that stuff, all of those outcomes, you're not going to get there with a thin layer of positive thinking. You know why? Because you're inundated with negative thoughts, negative actions from the world. There's a lot of ignorance out there. This brings me up to share with you something that James Allen shared. I think it's so beautiful. He talks about how, a lot of us don't understand why it's so difficult for us to change positively. We tend to think, oh, it's because of human nature, but that's not true. He points out that the reason why it's so difficult for us to do good, be good, and deliver exceptional results is because of how prevalent ignorance is around us. It's because there's a whole ocean of negative thoughts from everyone that are out there that we've accepted, which means it's in our mind as well. So if you want an extraordinary life, if you want significant differences in life, listen closely. Eventually, all the negative thoughts, all your fears will flood the layer of positive thinking, which is why we must understand that just reading an inspirational book, okay, listen carefully, just reading an inspirational book will not propel you forward. And there are a lot of you who've maybe only read it once or twice. Maybe you've read this once or twice. That's not enough. You're dealing with your habits. You're dealing with fixed ideas within your subconscious mind that you've got to change. The beliefs you have, the habits you have happen. They're there because of constant spaced repetition over years. You have to intelligently and you have to focusedly put these thoughts in your mind repeatedly until they become automatic, which means you've got to get emotionally involved with the ideas. Now think about that. I'm going to say this again because I say this to a lot of people. A lot of people want change, but they're not willing to pay the price for the change. If you want this change, you must be willing to pay the price. And the price that you've got to pay is you've got to let go of your current self. You've got to let go of what you believe to be true, the habits you have, and you've got to renew your mind. Which means it's going to be uncomfortable. But again, soak in what he's saying here. This paragraph is genius. It's brilliant. It's so simple. Think and Grow Rich is not just about positive thinking. Just having a thin layer of positive thinking over an ocean of negative thoughts will not generate a successful life, let alone an extraordinary one. Eventually, all the negative thoughts, all your fears will flood the layer of positive thinking, which is why you must understand that just reading an inspirational book will not propel you forward. And by the way, there are many of you who you've read stuff like this. You maybe come into calls like this, and maybe you've watched a video of some kind. Maybe you've even taken a course, and then you're all pumped up and ready to conquer the world. But then over a short period of time, things go back to what you've been used to. Why? You know why? Because you weren't persistent enough to embed within you the thought patterns that were needed to change how you're thinking, which then would lead to change how you're feeling, which then would lead to the actions you take. Think about that. Eventually, all the negative thoughts, all your fears will flood your layer of positive thinking. All of what? All of these alibis that you're used to using, which are habitual in you, they'll come out. And they'll stop you cold. It'll give you all kinds of fear. Instead, any useful principles must be ingrained in both your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Now, how do you do that? Remember, your conscious mind is where you get to make decisions, you get to choose. The way you do that is with your will. By having a powerful will, by being able to focus. That's one thing that you see clearly with regards to Rami when he's locked in on something. See, he has a strong will. You know what keeps most people stuck is weakness of attention, poverty of imagination. You have the ability to focus, to crowd out all other thoughts that are not in harmony with the good that you desire, and then hold on the screen of your mind how you would love things to be. That's the first thing. You've got to make that dominant. You got to hold it there enough until your subconscious sees that it's important to you. You got to allow it to be one. Now think about that. Instead, any useful principles, and here he's sharing with you principles that he lives his life by. He's sharing with you his philosophy. In order for this to be useful in your life, he's saying it's got to be ingrained both in your conscious mind. In other words, it's got to be something you hold there, and also in your subconscious mind. And the only way it gets into your subconscious mind is if your conscious mind is holding it there. Remember, your subconscious mind is loyal. It's a loyal servant, but it's not loyal to you. It's loyal to what you've made important. It's loyal to the ideas that you hold on the screen of your mind. And by the way, now think in terms of the story here that Rami's been sharing with you. He's always thinking from the inside out, not the outside in. The principles should dominate your thoughts completely so that there's no room for negativity to step back in. This is a point I will come back to repeatedly. And this is a point that I'm going to continually say over and over again as well. You've got to change what's automatic in you. And that's the only way, by the way, that you're going to change what dominates your thoughts. The only way you're going to be able to change the dominating thoughts in your mind, which are embedded with you subconsciously, is through the use of your conscious mind by using your will to hold that image until it becomes automatic. And that's what he did. And it shows in his results. By their fruits you shall know them. Your results always tell the truth about what your mindset is. Your results always tell the truth of what you believe to be true and the habits you have. If you want to change your results, then you've got to deal with the cause, which is what you believe, the habit you have, the philosophy that you live your life by. And here he's sharing with you his philosophy of life, which is automatic in him because he made it that way. Now, this is beautiful. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You have probably known people nearing the end of their life's journey who looked back and said, if I had only done things differently, if I had only taken advantage of that opportunity when it came along. A life of woulda, coulda, shoulda. Unfulfilled lives are filled with if-onlys. They are the refrains of the timid soul whose lives were finished before they ever really started. Wow. How's that for a insert knife and turn? Life is filled with many opportunities for great successes and spectacular failures. It is up to you to seize the initiative, to take the advantage of the opportunities that come your way. It's up to you. I share this frequently. A lot of people are waiting for a knight in shining armor to come and save you. I have news for you. Nobody's coming. And it's intentionally designed that way. See, the knight in shining armor is you in the form of your magnificent mind. And you get to choose whatever thoughts you want to think. You have your imagination, perception, reason, will, memory, intuition. And if you study Rami, you'll see that he is strong in every single one of those areas because he strengthened those areas. And you have those in you too. Your Savior is in you in the form of your mind, in the form of your thoughts. And how you use your thoughts is going to determine whether or not you escape the prison that you believe that you're in, which is not even there. So again, life is filled with many opportunities for great success and spectacular failures. It is up to you to seize the initiative, to take advantage of the opportunities that come your way. You are condemned to a life of mediocrity unless you get into action. Don't delay, do it today. You know, this little section right here is something that all of you should write in the first person. Let's go over this. Write this in the first person right now. It is up to me to seize the initiative. It is up to me to seize the initiative, to take advantage of the opportunities that come my way. Write it down. It is up to me to seize the initiative, to take advantage of the opportunities that come my way. I am condemned to a life of mediocrity unless I get into action. Don't delay. And I'm actually going to change this. Do it now. Because there's really no such thing as today. Today is a whole bunch of nows. Now's all you've got. Now, soak in that power of that. That's amazing. It is up to me to seize the initiative, to take advantage of the opportunities that come my way. Your happiness, your success, your joy, your life is of your own making. You're the one that's responsible to do it. You're the one that has to do the work. You're the one that's responsible for you. I think it's brilliant that he put this in this chapter, in this book. This right here, incredible. But remember, this is not power. This is potential power. The only way it becomes power is if you use it. And see, now you know this. Now, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to use it in your mind? Are you going to get emotionally involved with the idea? I promise you, if you get emotionally involved with what we just instructed you to write here, you'll see changes. Because remember, your actions happen because of a motive behind them, and the motive is the emotion. Let's go further. Reflection. I love these reflections. Now, again, he's sharing with you how he thinks. I aim for the highest level and never settle, no matter the risk, for a life of mediocrity. Is that something that's in you? Do you set, for instance, safe goals or goals that are rooted in what you think you can do or know you can do? He doesn't do that. He sets goals based off of, wow, that sounds crazy. How am I going to do that? He believes, then he figures out the way. He aims for the highest level. Therefore, he reaps the reward. He takes risks. And by the way, if you're unwilling to take risks, all you're doing is consenting to that right now is all you're ever going to be. And besides that, life is risky. Every single one of us is going to die. Think about it. It's kind of funny. Take risks. The master key to think and grow rich. Just thinking about something is not enough. You must build an intense burning desire. What does that mean? You've got to be emotionally involved with the idea. It just can't be something that's just words. Okay, I have a goal to be a millionaire. Oh, that sounds really great. I got news for you. It's not going to happen unless it's burning inside of you to be that millionaire. Unless it consumes you like a magnificent obsession. Without a burning desire, at the first sign of adversity, you're probably going to quit. And that's what most people do, because they just look at it as something that's intellectual, not understanding that it's got to be emotional. And that's what that paragraph's about. And that's what's in him. That burning desire is what keeps you going no matter how many roadblocks you face, no matter how many times you hear the word no, and no matter how many times you reject it. On the very last page, he points out of Think and Grow Rich, Hill emphasizes that a burning desire is the master key that unlocks wealth. You've got to be obsessed with the idea. It's got to be magnificent in your heart. It's got to be like this. It's either that or I die. You've got to be willing to burn the boats so that there's no option to retreat. That's what it's got to be in you. The burning desire is the first key. From there, I assembled other keys that unlock doors to an extraordinary life. The first key that opens doors, everyone wants something, whether it's great wealth, great love, or great influence. But a powerful desire, especially a true burning desire, something that gets you enthused about what you would love for your life, gives you a tremendous amount of joy right inside. A true burning desire is far more than this, and is acquired through the basic principle advocated in Think and Grow Rich, which is what I employ every day. Notice that he says, I use it every day. I employ it every day. And here it is. Mix what you want with intense emotion in order to drive you to ever greater success. Allow yourself to be obsessed with it so that there's nothing else that enters on the screen of your mind. Give your life to it. You're trading your life for something. The big question is the trade fair? So again, mix what you want with intense emotions in order to drive you to ever greater success. The emotions you mix with your thoughts do not necessarily have to be positive. Emotions of great love and great sex, for example, are powerful, but emotions such as intense pain are potentially just as effective. Even the emotions created by certain chemicals can be powerful. That's why some of the greatest music, I should say, has been created by musicians who have experimented with psychological drugs. Now, in my own case, he points out, I applied 2 of Think and Grow Rich's main principles at the beginning of my journey, and here they are. Whatever your mind can conceive and believe, you can achieve. I recommend that you write this in the first person. Whatever my mind can conceive and believe, I can achieve. Write it in the first person. And the next, by mixing intense emotion with what you want to achieve, you can achieve anything. And I recommend that you write that in the first person as well. By mixing intense emotion with what I want to achieve, I can achieve anything. Now, again, notice how he's pointing out you've got to be emotionally involved with the idea. It can't just be something that's intellectual alone. Notice how, in terms of this, I want you to notice this sentence here. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind you can achieve. You know what, to me, is the most important word in this beautiful sentence is? And it's overlooked. It's and. It doesn't say or, whatever your mind can conceive or believe. No, and. In other words, it's in harmony with each other. It's one. Conceive, intellectually, believe, emotional. All together is one. When you have that, wow, you will be unstoppable. It's inevitable that whatever your if you've embedded in your mind, when you have all of that, it's inevitable for it to take shape and form in your world. Constantly believing in as well as applying these principles will help you achieve the focus you needed for reaching your goals. And the more focused you become, see, again, think about it. This is so amazing. See, here he's bringing in the power of the will, focus. And the more focused you become, the more that these principles will infuse in your daily life. You must be relentless in order to succeed. Are you relentless right now? If you're not, start today. Now I'm going to read this again. This is so important. Constantly believing in. Belief is at the core of everything here, by the way, in terms of his book. Belief. Okay? Constantly believing in as well as applying, in other words, using it. Have you ever heard this phrase? Faith without works is dead. Okay? Constantly believing in as well as applying these principles will help you achieve the focus needed for reaching your goals. It'll help you to become powerful with your will. And the more focused you become, the more that these principles will infuse in your daily life. You must be relentless in order to succeed. Determination and burning desire can never be stopped. Are you determined? Do you have that desire? If you don't have it, that's okay. It's a starting point. I will share this with you. You know how you build that burning desire is you start giving life to the way that you would love things to be. And when you give it life, when you vivify it with your vitality, it in turn will vivify you with its livingness, its spirit. I got that from Thomas Troward. That's how you build the desire. By becoming emotionally involved with it, by giving it your life. So burning desire in the Coral Castle. After leaving home when I was 12, I had no particular destination in my mind other than the US. I happened to end up in Florida, where I started my journey to success. I paid close attention to other people's experiences, constantly relating Think and Grow Rich's teachings to what others had achieved. Now, this is really cool. I love this, man. This is really cool. This is a wonderful example. One of my first discoveries was the Coral Castle, a tourist attraction first built in Florida City and then moved by its owner to what is now a homestead near Miami. The home and its surroundings and its surrounding grounds are an extraordinary testament to what the human mind can conceive and then achieve. Now, here he points out Ed Leedskalnin, I said that wrong, Leedskalnin spent 28 years carving using only handmade tools over 1,000 tons of oolite, a sedimentary rock that often includes fossil shells and actual coral. And we're going to see pictures of this, okay? A sedimentary rock that's in this rock into monumental structures that tower where he lived, furniture and sculptures. Now, check this out. Every block is arranged without mortar. No mortar. And with such precision that a thin knife cannot be inserted between the joints. Think about that. It's exact. A gate, one of the most famous attractions, and weighing over 8 tons, 8 freaking tons, is so finely balanced that it can be opened with the shove from one single finger. The standard story is that Leedskalnin, then 26 and still in his homeland of Latvia, was jilted by his fiancée the day before their impending wedding. Now imagine that. He was going to get married and then he was jilted. In other words, she said, no, I'm out of here. After he immigrated to the United States, Leedskalnin harnessed the intense negative emotion from the rejection in order to create a burning desire. See, remember how Ramey talked about how you can use negative stuff in your life to drive you forward? Here, he's pointing out that he used that negative emotion of the jilting in order to create a burning desire though he was around 100 pounds, a very small guy and only 5 feet. Now, picture that. By opening his mind to the universe, he learned the secrets of how to build by himself an astounding monument to his true love. The Coral Castle demonstrated clearly to me that if you mix powerful emotions with what you desire, nothing can stop you from achieving your goals, just as nothing stopped Lead Skalen. The castle became a sort of blueprint for building my own burning desire. Now, again, through this, what he's sharing with you what's happening in his mind, how he's thinking, and how he's used that. He used that when he saw it as a foundation on which to build his life the way that he wanted it to be. Lead Scanlon never gave up his secrets on how exactly he built the Coral Castle. However, am not holding back any secrets for success. This is really cool how he's paralleling, what we're going to see here to his success of what other people would see. Well, how did you do that, Ramey? How did you go from being broke just 6 years ago to being a billionaire now? Because a lot of people would think that that's impossible. They don't understand how he did it. Well, he's sharing with you that he's sharing with you how he did it. I'm going to show you both the highs and lows, all of which turn out to be the essential to my eventual greater success. Now, here is a picture of a lot of this stuff here. This is amazing. Go look this up on the internet. Super cool. 5 feet tall, 100 pounds, and he did all of this himself. Look at the lines that are there. You can't really see them that clear in the picture here, but you can't even put a knife in between them. They're that precise. Part of the Coral Castle. Empty pockets, rich mind. When I left home, I owned virtually nothing except Think and Grow Rich. Think about that, 12 years old. Which I already read over 20 times. I was surprised that intuitively and immediately grasped many of its principles. Later in life, I realized that all this knowledge is really already out there in the universe. Think and Grow Rich just opened my eyes to what I already knew on some deeper level. By the way, how many of you are feeling that as well? As we're going through this, as we're sharing this information, how many of you are feeling like this is strangely familiar? Because it's already in you. It's in everybody. All of this is embedded within all of us. What's the problem is that it's been painted over with a lot of ignorance. And he goes to say, I was ready to receive the basic truths of Hill's work. And when something is based on truth, it will stand the test of time. My next task is to constantly maintain the burning desire to succeed. Without such desire, I could not survive on the streets for 5 years, which is where I lived after landing in Florida. Many people would have just returned home, he says, while thinking, this is just too damn hard. Maybe you're going through that right now. Maybe right now you're at your wit's end and you've been seeking someone to come save you. But now you're realizing that, you know what? Hold on a second. I just have to change how I'm thinking. I hope that that's the case. Because really, that's the truth. You can get rid of, that this is so damn hard, that this is horrible, this is terrible, if you just change the thought patterns that are in your mind. So many people would have given up on the dream of becoming wealthy and successful going through what he went through. And it's true. I see people like that. I see people who quit and they haven't even gone through anything close to what Ramey's gone through. And then he goes and brings this in, which is, again, beautiful. Before you can build anything worthwhile, you must first recreate it in your mind. Think about that. You're not a human being. You're a thought-evolved being, which means you're a spiritual being living in a body. Before you can build anything worthwhile, you must first create it in your mind. Your mind is not constrained by physical limitations or boundaries. In the workshop of your mind, you can visualize things that have never been. Think about how beautiful that is. It is said that Albert Einstein visualized how the universe might look if he were riding astride a beam of light through infinity. Then he worked out the mathematics and to support his theory of relativity. You can use the power of your imagination to visualize solutions to difficult problems, to develop new ideas, to see yourself achieving the goals you have set for yourself. And it's true. Everything that's around you right now is there because of the use of someone's imagination. And there's not a single thing out there that's not created that will be created unless the imagination's used. And you have one. And you get to use yours however you want to use it. Reflection. I constantly use my mind's workshop to generate creative ideas for new projects. The workshop is open and active 24 hours, 7 days a week. So what is he revealing to you here? He's revealing to you that this is a habit for him. That is part of his mindset. I constantly use my mind's workshop to generate creative ideas. See, he's actively using it. The burning desire I built in myself kept me going every single day until I figured out what it took to start achieving success. And this could be you as well, if you're willing to pay the price. Everything has a price. Right now, what you are reaping is according to the price that you've paid from the beliefs and habits that you've consented to. You want to change the outcomes? To be extraordinary, then you must pay the price of embedding within you the mindset that matches that outcome. And if Rami can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. But again, you're the one that has to do it. Now, next week, we're going to be going over chapter 2, On the Streets of Life. Wow, amazing. Wasn't that awesome? How many of you got a lot out of this? It was incredible for me. Raise your hands if you got a lot out of this. That was so freaking awesome. That chapter, brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant that Rami put that in the first chapter to help you to understand that alibis are just nothing more than consenting to the limitations that have been planted into you that aren't even yours. Well, you don't have to accept them. You don't have to accept them at all. All of you write this in your notes. I don't have to consent to things as they are. And you don't. None of you do. None of you have to consent to it. All right? So let's move here with what we're going to be talking about here. Okay, in terms of takeaways, I want to hear what you got from this. What did you get from this? And how are you going to use this in your life? Okay, so let's pull this in real quick. And Rami, are you here, by the way? Are you here on available to speak here? Let me see, make co-host. You went back in and came back in. I want to make sure Rami's here because I see Rami's here. And I'm going to check and see if you're available here before we do that. And then after that, we're going to go over some takeaways. All right. All right, here we go. Let's see. Ask to unmute. He may be driving or something like that. All right. He'll pop in here in a second if he can. but he's been listening. All right, so let's go over some takeaways here before that. And Rami, all you have to do is just mute and pop in if you can. So raise your hand if you'd love to take the stage and share what you got from this and what are you going to do about it? Okay, what are you going to do about it? So let's start with Caroline here real quick and bring you up here on the stage. Caroline, go for it. What did you get from this? How are you going to use this?
Hi. I wrote down ignore luck and ignore fear, and I'm applying this in my life from now on even more. And what I got, or what I understand, was that if we look at other people and how ignorant they are towards this material, or as you said, they read the book 2 times or one time, and then, oh, I know everything, and yes, that's ignorance.
Yeah.
And we can turn this around 180 degree, and then we understand this now, the material, and we can ignore luck and ignore fear. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. So good, Caroline. That's good. Ignore luck. You make your own luck, even though there's really no such thing as luck. That's really good. Amazing. So, okay, Rami said, okay, I'll assign it as you can. Okay, good. So Rami will come on when he can here real quick. Okay, perfect. So next we got Danny Tran. And let's pull you up, Decisive Danny, and share with everyone what you got from this. I saw you taking lots of notes. That's fantastic.
Hello, Joy and everyone.
Hi.
Thank you so much. And every time you do a session like this, it's very instill me more powerful thought. And even though I read the book, and this is like a second or third time I listen to this content, like you chapter 1 and 2. But the takeaway for me is my boss is not even here anyway. So that's very powerful, because sometimes I have so many failures in life, and I keep thinking about it. And now it's just today, it just give me some insight that I have to forget it, because it's not there. It's not there. So it's not gonna help me.
Yeah.
And my second takeaway is I wrote it down. Let me see. It's up to me to seize the initiative to take advantage of the opportunity to come my way. So I need to be more decisive and build, like you say, make intense emotion to my goal to take action for it to become a reality.
That's so good.
And thank you so much, Joy. And can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I remember last year we have a mastermind with Rami. Will we have one like that next year? This year?
Okay, we have something beautiful that we're going to be working on, which all of you are going to want to be sure to be a part of, and we're going to be coming up with the details soon. It's going to be something really good, amazing, and it has to do with helping people to understand how when you change how you're thinking, you can change everything, and it has to do with, you know, building a business. So if you have a business and would love to be a part of, or have a chance to be mentored and have the backing of, you know, Rami's resources and also Power of Mindset, you're not going to want to miss it. And it will reveal the details of what's going on soon. In the meanwhile, keep studying this material. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me. Yeah.
That's
Thank you so much for.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. So Rami's going to come on now, and he says, I can come on now, which is fantastic. All right, here we go, Rami. And let's ask you to start video there real quick. And let's pull you up. Okay, you're going to start video later. Okay, so just go ahead and go on the mic then. Are you there, Rami?
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic.
Yeah, just this one time, I'm not going to do the video because
That's okay.
I started the day kind of late and been on phone calls and haven't even taken a shower. So, but I've been listening to everything you said. I'm glad you guys read that this chapter. This chapter is really an important chapter that kind of led forward everything I did from the beginning. And it was important for me to put all the excuses and alibis in the front of the book instead of the back of the book, the way Napoleon Hill did in his book, because it is really the starting point of everything, is getting rid of the excuses. So I wanted that to be in the front of the book, because those are the excuses that stops people from even trying anything. And back in 1937, those were the excuses I copied. But today, you even have more excuses, like, the internet and all the bad things that could be told on the internet, or different things, how social media affect people's mind, or there's a lot more things that people can use as excuses today than even back in 1937. And as you read in the book, I had excuses of being on those antidepressants, or even dying, or whatever excuses there was. I lived them through all of them, and I don't use them as alibis or excuses to achieve anything. So I really wanted people, and I put the list from Think and Grow Rich, because a lot of people can relate to those, because they're age-old excuses, but there's a lot more. So it's really important to not have any excuses, because it doesn't matter. I've seen people get handicapped and still live an amazing life and marry before heavens and stuff like that. So it's really a decision of becoming a victim to those excuses, or taking charge of your life. And it is also really important that, like I think George put in there, is you really pointed out whatever the man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And I put the Coral Castle in there because it was something that wasn't 5,000 years ago, or something when the pyramids were built or anything. This happened 70 years ago or something, and it's in Florida right here. If you go visit it and you look at it, it's just the smallest block is 2 tons. The door was 20 tons. And he was able to build it with his mind, and nobody ever saw him work. And at the end, he said he'd have a wall up, and it's there. And that's why it's very important to Google it and stuff, because a lot of people go there as a tourist and everything else and says, oh, this is interesting and everything, but doesn't really comprehend or the meaning of what that means. I mean, how can one man that's 5 foot tall with no tools, no help, no cranes or anything, build this castle? And I think about 10, 15 years ago, the door fell off its hinge where you could push the button. It took 3 cranes to move the door back in place so they could put it back on the hinge. So just thinking of that, if you just contemplate what that really means, if he can achieve building that castle was his mind, to me, it's just like, then you could achieve anything. He figured out he was in so much pain. He figured out the levitation or the powers of how they built the pyramids or whatever it was. He had a certain goal in his mind, was to win his love back. And he believed that if he built a castle, she'd come back to him. So his belief was so strong, and he wanted to figure out how to build this castle. He had no money. He was broke. He was sitting there, and he figured it out. And he did it in an extraordinary way that nobody knew till today how he did it. So it's just that's to point out that, like, the little obstacles of even people wanting to make money. And money's got to be the simplest thing in the world. If you could build a castle, there's trillions of dollars flowing every day, and all you have to do is put your hand out and grab it and get some of that. So it's wealth is so achievable. It's a lot more achievable than building that castle. Almost everything in life is a lot more achievable than building that castle. Or when Napoleon Hill talks about Einstein, to figure out the curvature of the universe in your mind and putting it into math is spectacular. It is something that almost nobody can do, but he did it because it's what his burning desire was. So is making money easier, or is figuring out the curvature in the universe before you have telescopes to measure it, or anywhere else? It shows that things that you want and you put a burning desire, the universe will give you the details. It's all out there. The universe has all the answers, has everything, because it experiences everything. It's the universal laws. So once you focus and turn your mind and station to what you want, the universe will fill it. Ed Lanchamp wanted to build a castle, and how does he do it? He focused on it, and the universe gave that to him. And Einstein was the same thing, but figuring out the curvature of the universe. If you look at Marconi, when he invented radio, that thought his family wanted to commit him because he said he could have sound travel through the air. To do that when you've never seen it before and be able to create it, it's because you focus on it and you get that information. So those are just examples that you could take in your life when you're struggling through little things that are so easily fixed or so easily to achieve. When you look at the bigger things that people achieve out of just burning desires, I mean, even the things that like what people read a lot about Elon Musk today, those are actually simpler than those things that Castle's built. But he had that burning desire to prove that he can build an electric car and make it the future of things. And then even in SpaceX, I don't know if you anyway saw the special on space when about Elon Musk. You don't know how many rockets blew up before the first one really finally flew. So that takes a burning desire, and he said that all the money that he made from Tesla and everything else he did, he was down. He was throwing it all, burned all the bridges, put it all in SpaceX until his rocket it works, and now it's one of the most viable companies there is, and it's got a contract with NASA and everything else. But all that is, again, it's just from one man believing something and had so much burning desire that he figured out. I mean, he surrounded himself in SpaceX with the right people and the rocket scientists, brought people from NASA, but it was his guidance and burning desire that kept these people going. Or when you think of Steve Jobs, he had the vision of what everything would be, the iPhone, the iMac, and everything else, and he inspired people around him to build what he needed to build. Because he is one man that can bring people together and do those things. So all those things are extraordinary things that you could study, but you could relate it into your life so easily and this is what I was really excited when I was young. I discovered to learn from other people. I say, okay, I'm looking at this, look at what this guy built. So if he could build that, and I sat there, like when I was at the castle, I stayed there all day just because I wanted to sit there and watch and absorb and try to feel what Ed Lanchant was feeling when he was building this castle. Because I understood the secrets. I already read Napoleon Hill, so I was translating what Napoleon Hill's principle was to Ed Lanchant. Was that Ed Lanchant ever reading Napoleon Hill? But he had the basic principles. It's a principles of the universe. Like I saw Common mention something, he read it once in the Bible. These principles have been alive since the beginning of time. It's a universal principle, but Napoleon Hill was able to put it in words where people understood it and it resonated with them. And then I was trying to put it in words by example of living it, and hopefully it resonates with people. So achievement and everything is all up to you. And the one person who talked about luck it's true. Like I never say I'm going to wait for luck. If you wait for luck, then it might happen, might not happen, but it'll take years and years and years. So you have to make your own luck. It is what you decide to do. Then it's not luck anymore. It is intentional purpose. It is what you've decided to happen in life, and you can't say, oh, I got lucky, I was there. It doesn't matter, good times, bad times. It never matters what period of time, if it's during the Great Depression or if it's going boom times, people were still able to make money or achieve things, or when America was just founded and had to fight the English to become independent, they were outnumbered by ridiculous numbers, and they were fighting the most powerful army, but they found ways, and the French helped them, and they found ways of doing different type of guerrilla battles to beat the English in the way they handled. They understood the way the English worked, that they had to have the generals, and then they made sure that they knocked off all the generals in a battle first before they started the battle, so the people were lost. So because they had a burning desire to be independent and win this, no matter how odd numbers, they found creative ways and ways of doing things to become independent and free. And then after they became independent and free, they had to build a nation, and the great industrialists came in. And then they built railroads, and they found oil, they built steel, create steel. They did so much, but all that were burning desire of a new country, and they felt that everything was possible and figured out ways of doing it. And the same as today, the opportunities are more abundant than ever. Even if look at AI or anything that's happening, we have more opportunities today than we did 5 years, 10 years, 100 years ago. So there's ways of turning what you want and and the tools are there. I mean, the internet is an amazing thing, and the reach that you have to people gives you, you can find whatever tool you want. You just Google it, LinkedIn, you want to hire the right person, you could find lots of people looking for jobs. So once you decide what you want to do, you have abundance amount of tools, and it's just not focusing. And one of the main key points in Think and Grow Rich, which you read and I put in that chapter, is building that burning desire. You got to decide, think of what you want, and then you mix it with whatever emotion you have. It's love, sex, hate, pain, whatever it is. It doesn't matter, because the subconscious mind, the back of the mind, does not know the difference of what kind of emotion it is, but that's the one that triggers, that opens up the mind a little bit more and tunes into the universal information that you need to win, to create what you want. So, but if you don't mix it with emotion, that part of your mind is not stimulated to open up and get the universal information that you need. And also, any sign of defeat or any sign of a stumbling block or any sign that somebody tells you, oh, it's not going to happen, is just not going to, if you're going to just stop right away. So it does two things when you create that burning desire. I find it. One, it makes you unstoppable, and no matter what anybody says or anything happens, you keep on going. And two, it opens up your mind to receive the information that you need to succeed. And so that's why it's really important to have that burning desire, because if not, then you're just going around, wishing, hoping, and anything that stops you, you're not getting information that you need, and you end up not getting what you want out of life, because you didn't make it a burning desire. You just surrendered yourself to live the life that just whatever happens, and and you'll like the one poem that they put in there, you just decide to work for menial hire and never asked out of life what you really wanted, and put what you needed to get what you want out of life. So So there was a lot of things in that chapter that did a good job covering it and in different words, and one that you could really study, even what you can conceive and believe. You could talk about for a month. I mean, because it's amazing how when Napoleon Hill put that and what that really meant. It's a great tagline, but if you really think of the meaning of what it really means, because that's the key that does really explain everything. Because if you conceive it, I mean, when this great medical research to find cures, like for polio or whatever it is, they first, conceived that they can find a cure. They believed they could find that cure, and then they had a burning desire to find that cure to cure all these crippled children and stuff like that. And they found the way to the medicine to be able to do that. So it's all conception, belief, and then action, and it happens. So same with Atlantic Chance or anything else that you try to do. So it's really what I'm sure if you go back and you go to people, 200 years ago, and you show them, fast forward them 200, like everything we have today, it'll blow their mind. To have computers, to have telephone, to have all the things we have, even television. I mean, those things people even couldn't conceive that could exist. And that's why it is really a workshop on your mind. Imagination can be turned into reality by just believing it's true. I mean, even Einstein, when he figured out the curvature of the universe and he put it on paper, the mathematical equation of it, there was no way of measuring it. And if you and I've seen the story behind this, scientists went to disprove his theory. It took 12 years to finally get the telescope and the right set of where you had to be in the world to go measure it. And when they measured it, it was precise to exactly his mathematical equation. I mean, too precise. And for him to have seen that in his mind before scientists could even go measure that in reality 12 years later. And that's why he became so great. And it was hailed as amazing, the greatest genius there ever was, because he did something that's it opened up everything after that, and the atomic bomb, everything came from a lot of what Einstein did in his theory. So again, this is right back to now everybody's living their lives today, and a lot of people think it's impossible to change what their lives are. It's going to be too hard, or I don't have that, use all these excuses, not be able to do what they really want, and they're living in their apartment, they're doing things, and everybody's telling them, "Oh, just be happy that at least you have this, count your blessings, blah blah," all that stuff. Just and then people will just surrender and say, "Okay, you're right. I should count blessings. You know, that's the way the world is. You know, and there's hard to get jobs out there, and I'm only skilled to this level. And yeah, I wasn't born in a rich family. I don't have the contacts. I don't have the things that I need to do to achieve things." I mean, you could just keep on throwing all the excuses, but it's easier to make an excuse than to really do the work and really delve into what Napoleon Hill has, or the principles, and put that effort. That effort is a big step, and it is work. Like I keep on saying, this is not the thing that's the easy pass. It is going to be a harder pass than just surrendering and existing, and then at the end you just retire and then die. I mean, you know, there's 8.2 billion people, probably almost 8 billion of it people will live exactly like that. It's only the 0.2 that will do more out of their lives because I believe it, and they can. So, and that's still a large number, 200 million people. So that can really make a difference. So but you don't want to be part of the 8 billion. You'd rather be part of the 200 million that changed their life. You want to be a Gandhi that freed a nation with 1 billion plus people, was just because he decided he was going to do it in a non-violent way, and he moved people and freed India. I mean, it's you hear about these great people and stuff that did things in life, and he was just an ordinary man too. He started law and everything else, but he believed that he could do this, and he went out, and then people believed in what he believed, and everybody followed him. So it's amazing once you have that strength of belief also in yourself, and you present it out there, and you show that confidence you can, people will follow you. People will invest in you. People will do the things they do to help you achieve what they achieve, because they want to see that success, because then it makes them feel they can achieve that. And they do it more for themselves than even for you, but they are looking for leaders, and they are looking for places to invest. I mean, I don't know how many conferences I go to, the Milken conference, or I see how many funds and so much cash on the sideline. They're looking for something they can believe and invest in. You know, and when a person comes in, and if you look at Uber, Uber was a good idea and all that, but I forgot the guy's name who started, but everybody hated. But he believed that he could change the way of transportation, and he fought for that, and he convinced people that Uber will change transportation. And he was so passionate. He got hundreds of millions in investments and built Uber, and he fought a lot of things. He fought cities, he fought the taxi cab things, he fought everything else, but he stayed the course, and now Uber is just part of our life. You know, so it's also his belief in this one guy who could really truly inspire people that this thing can work. So once you believe it, people will believe it also, and especially if it's based on something that's sound and true, and you have a certain motivation. So when you do adopt these things, know that at the end you won't be alone. So all the people who criticize you and all that will wash away in the background. They'll be watching, and the people that you attract to help you get there will just show up, because you've now changed your mind, and those people will show up to help you achieve the things that you need. And then those people who criticize you later on will look at you and say, "Oh, he got lucky," or, "Oh wow, I couldn't believe he did that." But so that's why anybody else's opinion or criticism means absolutely nothing, because they don't understand the principles of what really success is. And so it should be put away, because there's nothing in life that is not achievable. And you could take the huge examples to show that these were just ordinary human beings. And Lan Chant was nobody. If he was that powerful, amazing, magnetic person, his wife would have never left him. People weren't going to be around, or he wouldn't live this thing. But he was an ordinary man that then ended up building the 8th wonder of the world. So it doesn't matter who you are, what place you are the most powerful person there is, because once you make a decision, nobody's more powerful than you. If you look at how people change the world, I mean, everybody loved a lot of these people that were assassinated, and by what? I mean, even if you look at what's it from the Beatles, he was John Lennon.
John Lennon,
he was amazing and something, and then nobody guy went over and shot him and ended his life. He became powerful at that moment. Again, it's negative thing, but he decided what he wanted to do, and he made it happen, which is just makes you powerful. So you could use it for bad or good, but it's always better for good, because that lasts, and it's a great thing. But anybody can have the power to do almost anything. You know, as we talked in one of the talks, even that special on the Boston bombing, 2 young kids was able to affect so many people and bring the president there. But it's just because they were passionate about it. They had the belief, because it's Muslim religion, that they were prosecuted in America because they were Muslims. So they came up with a way to disrupt the way things are. Again, you become as powerful as you decide that you made a decision and you put that burning desire behind it. You attract the people. It just works that way. It's just a law that works. So
Wow.
that beginning of the book was the chapter 2. It's a setup what happens in the rest of the book to understand, you know, what I started with and belief, and when I picked up when I started the beginning of life, how my mind was forming and how I started building that belief in myself by seeing the examples and knowing it's true, and then eventually doing it myself and proving that, I do little things, it does work, and then I built my own belief because of the successes I had.
Yeah,
So,
amazing. Wow,
so-
I hope all of you took a lot of notes from what he just said right there. I recommend that all of you replay what he just said, all of it, and listen to it carefully. That was amazing, Remy.
No, you know, I just hope, like, you know, you guys, this is a Memorial Weekend, take a Saturday off to listen and come and join in. I really want you to achieve and really get a lot out of this. And that's why I try to show up every Saturday, because you're committed. I'm committed to help and hopefully show you how to look at things. And Troy is there every Saturday. I don't pay him. I don't do it. He does it because he believes in this. And I love Troy because he explains it better than I can sometimes explain it. So I have a way of explaining. He has a way of explaining, and hopefully between both of us, we can really get you to really comprehend what it takes to really achieve the things that you want.
Yeah, amazing. Gosh, it's so good. Whew, amazing. Okay, Remy, I don't know what your schedule is now. But there are a couple of people who do have their hands raised. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, if you want, we can take some questions, a couple
Okay.
questions. And
Okay, so then what we're gonna do is we're gonna just go with Nikki, and then Aaron, Brendan, and then we're gonna stop with Armina. Armina, you're gonna be the last one here. Okay, so let's pull up Nikki and go for this. Hi, Nikki. How are you?
Hi, Troy. Thank you so much. And hi, Remy. Thank you so much for sharing.
oh, no.
The builder of the Coral Castle did not share his knowledge for whatever reason, but we're appreciative of the fact that you've decided to share it with us.
No, you're welcome.
And I'm very inspired by the story you tell of how the Coral Castle really just inspired you. Although you already had the soil in your head because you had already, it seems to me, read Think and Grow Rich over 20 times, right?
Right.
So it was a matter of, if you can take us back to that day that you saw the Coral Castle and the impact that it had on you, I would really appreciate it.
Sure.
And then also, you speak about not settling for being mediocre. Can you explain a little bit about how do you go about that in the face of just not settling? Because many times in life you feel, as at least sometimes I do, that this is kind of tough. It's kind of tough, like rolling the stone uphill. It's not easy. So take us through, first of all, your experience that day at the Coral Castle. I happen to live in Florida. I live in Miami, by the way, not too far from where it is. And just tell us about how you get out of this mediocre kind of thing.
Okay. By the way, have you ever gone and seen it yet?
Yes, I have. Sad to say, even though I was really impressed with the whole magnificence of it, I had not done what you did, which was just sit there and sink in it and really absorb what this gentleman had done. And I do see some parallels between what he did and what you did, because it seems to me that he did it solo in many ways, and it seems to me that some of what you did in the early days was solo. So that's an aside.
So the Coral Castle, which I encourage you to visit again, or anybody else to visit, it's almost like when I read Think and Grow Rich and was open and I wanted to really succeed, it's like the universe is opening up things. And I didn't intend to go there. I just happened to end up there because I was in Florida. So it's almost like the universe wanted me to see it. So to really understand what I was reading about what you can conceive and believe you can achieve. So it was like the universe was giving you, okay, Remy, here's an example so you can get it. So I ended up there. It was a long time ago. I forgot how I ended up, but I wasn't looking for the Coral Castle, never read into it. I just, for some reason, was driving by and saw a sign for this Coral Castle, and I walked in. So it wasn't something that a researcher looked. There was no internet. It just was like the universe said, okay, Remy, I'm going to give you an example so you can understand what you've been studying and how the principles really work. So that was the experience. And when I went in there, I said, "Oh wow, this is like an aha moment," you know. And not only is it built this monument, but there's also stuff, if you visited there, that is like there's little holes through it, and almost like a telescope that points to certain stars, certain areas of the universe and stuff. So it shows like you are connected to the universe and you're not alone. So it was really an amazing thing. And so that's why I was sitting there, because then when I'm sitting there, I'm now thinking back of all the things I learned from Think and Grow Rich and I believe and conceive, and what this really all meant. It was like trying to figure out the purpose of life and the purpose of these principles. How does this really apply to me? And it just said the same thing. I was like, I want this. He wanted this. What did he do? You know, all that, you know, and this is where I got the burning desire, and that's why I wanted to find out more about his life and his emotional pain. Again, that's what tied that burning desire, having emotion tied with what you want, and then making realizing that it didn't matter if it's positive or negative. So it was very clear to me that it could be the bad emotion. So I would bring back some of the bad emotions and a lot of things I did so I could have some emotional feelings. So because things might be going great in life and stuff, I go back to past pain or past something. And a lot of great artists also, you know, that chemical that opens up your mind, you know, can be induced by some psychedelic drugs. So some of the great musics in the 70s were done, you know, when the Eagles went to wherever in the peyote or whatever it is, it opened up their mind to create one of the greatest bands that'll live forever. I mean, I went to one of the 8 of the concerts, and you could stay there 4 hours, and every song you recognize it's a hit, and that's because they opened up their mind that the universe gave them all this information. But they did it in a way with drugs and stuff, which I don't do. But you could do the same thing, but just bring up emotion. That's why I know how to talk in the women's group, and a lot of these women were battered or had bad experiences when they were young. And I said, okay, don't take it as a negative. Now go and delve that, decide what you want out of life, feel that pain of what you went through, and open up your mind, and then use it to really propel you to something great. And also the benefit of that, if you feel it and don't hide it, and you really delve and really kind of enjoy the pain, I kind of say enjoy the pain, and you go deep, deep, deep into it and feel it, then it kind of like it gets released, and then that pain kind of goes away. It's not the same pain. That's why even these drugs are trying to suppress the pain that you have. It really doesn't do much, and it just stays with you, and you're angry all day, or you blow up for no reason. You don't know why. It's because you have that pain inside that you've left inside you. But if you take it instead and delve and really focus on, but at the same time, then automatically think of what you want in life and mix the pain, all of a sudden the pain is going away. But then now you've opened up your mind, and you have now new information the universe gave you to move forward to the things that you want to achieve in life. So looking at the Coral Castle, I understood the pain that he did. You know, he loved this woman so much, and being abandoned the day you're going to get married is so painful, especially he was so in love, and he was in a strange country, and he anyway, so that it made me figure out a lot of things, because I was then a lot of thoughts. So that was a Coral Castle. That's why I put in the book, because it's so important in a way to really think of what it is. So not just go there tourist, oh, it's interesting, and not really comprehend what it took for him to build it and why he built it and what's a consequence, what is the meaning of all this at the end of the day. Well, that's not answer to one question. Remind me the second question, just one sentence, because I know I went on with this one. I almost forgot your second question.
So Nikki, I'll unmute there real quick. Okay, go ahead. There
The
you go.
second, thank you so much for answering that first part and for showing
So
us a
good.
parallel between how you jumped off from what he did to where you are today. The second part of my question has to do with even when Troy read about not settling for mediocrity.
Okay,
I
now
was
I got it.
thinking
Okay.
sometimes it feels as if you're just rolling a stone uphill, and you get there and you feel so close, and then it doesn't happen, and So I
Yeah.
wanted to know, how do you overcome that?
Okay. Again, it's all back to the burning desire. Like I was homeless and stuff, and I remember it wasn't too long ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I was driving by and I saw this homeless guy sleeping on a bus bench. And I said, you know what? Life would have been for me either that or great success. There was no middle ground. I wasn't going to live mediocre, because I would rather sacrifice and know that I went for it and ended up sleeping on that bench than living the 9 to 5 and having dinner and doing the same thing, live for the weekend and a vacation a month, and then you repeat that day in, day out until you're 65 or whenever you retire and die a few years later. So to me, that was scarier than me thinking of myself on that bench. And then I also knew that it will take work. I know that it's not going to be easy. And again, that burning desire that we keep on talking helps you. It's like that big stone rolling up the hill and all that. But if you have that drive and burning desire, that stone you can push forever up the hill until it finally goes off to the other side, because you believe you can push it to the other side. But that's how you get there. I mean, like I've always said, I'm not saying this is going to be the easiest thing in the world. It won't be easy. It's hard. But if you're willing to do that, then you get the rewards. I mean, all these people go to the Olympic and to try to win that gold medal. How hard it is some of those sports. I mean, I have a friend, Willie Galt, who won the gold medal in the Olympics for the relay, and he's a sprinter, and he won the Super Bowl in '84 with Chicago Bears, and he just athletically, he is driven like nobody else, and to win the gold medal, to run that time. And today he's my age, he's 62 years old, and he's a fraction of a second off of his best time when he was running when he was 19 years old. And he's in amazing shape because he still trains with a team, the track team at the university at UCLA, and he's there every morning with them and all that. And he doesn't believe he's old. He believes he could still run as fast as him. And if you Google him, he still breaks all kinds of world records for his age and all that for running. And you think that's easy? No, he has to train 4 or 5 hours a day at the gym, train at the track team and everything 5 days a week, and his focus. But he has that burning desire to be the very best in athletics and what he did, and that's why he was able to win the Super Bowl, win the gold medal. He even played baseball when he was in school, and it all started when he was really young. He felt it when he was really young. He told me he used to get off. He was in Georgia. I forgot the city outside Atlanta, Griffith, Georgia. And every time he went to school, they went on the bus, and he started asking the bus driver to let him off early, and he would race the bus to school. First, it was a shorter distance, and he did a little further and further until he was able to beat the bus at a much further distance because of how he speaks. But from early on, he had that burning desire to be that sprinter, to be a better athlete, and that's what he thought would make it. And he had that burning desire from beginning on. I'm just giving you an example of one person who has that. So it's not easy. I don't think Willie could have achieved all that if he didn't train 4 or 5 hours a day and didn't do all the things and didn't do the things he did to win the medal and everything else. So when you're asking out of life for great things, there's work to be put in. And this is why the work is following those principles, never giving up, fighting all the obstacles, all the rejections, learning how to shift. It's all a full education, and it is work. It is 100%. You're not going to get it if you're just going to wish for it and just wait for it. So it's really just expect it. Right now, you have to make a decision. Am I committed to do the work that is needed so I can get what I want? Or is this right away from the beginning? If it's too hard, just give up right now. So it's really, or you could decide, okay, let me see what happens if I mix it with make it a burning desire. It's just like I think we talked last week when you were like myself or other men or who found the woman of their love of their life, and they worked hard. It was like she rejected them, so you would get rejected until they finally go out on a date, and then rejected, and you're working really hard. It's not easy, and then finally you wanted to marry that person, and they're saying no, until finally you get a yes out of them. But that's because that emotional feeling of love and passion is mixed with that desire of winning that person. So you naturally mix it without knowing, that passionate love with desire of winning somebody that you love, and then you end up winning that. But it wasn't easy. It was a lot of work to do. I mean, there probably were other girls that was easier to date or wanted to get married and stuff, but you get what you want if you decide what you want, and then mix it with that desire and never give up until it does happen. So I know it's a long way of trying to explain that, but I would rather, again, like I said, be on that bench and did everything I can to win than live a mediocre life. So it's really, you have to make that decision too. Like to me, it's scarier to be mediocre than it is to be homeless. So
yeah, that's amazing. You got to pay the price. If you're willing to pay the price, you'll get it. That's awesome. Amazing, Nikki. Okay, so we got Aaron Smith. Awesome, Aaron. Let's pull you up here, my friend. All right, you there?
Hey,
Aaron?
Troy and Raymond.
How you
Hey.
doing, Mr. Incredible?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I love the way that y'all broke down the principles in the book. My biggest takeaway was emotional intelligence. Just really going deeper into emotions, because the better that you identify yourself, the better that you will have the knowledge and follow through the knowledge and know how to apply it. So we can talk about thoughts, but the emotions too, combined with those thoughts, create a powerful impact. And that's what I'm going to start doing more, is leveraging my emotions, even if it's negative, to see it and change my perception of it. And that's what I'm looking forward to, just using everything good and bad emotions, switching my perception, and using that to catapult, my success in life. So I love how Raimi has that in his book, the repetition of it, and that's what I'm going to apply to my life.
Well, I'm glad that, and just remember, there's nothing good or bad. So emotion is not, it's just emotion. And so in the view of the universe, if you look at how even the universe was created, it had to have these massive explosions and collisions to create more complex materials, to create more complex world, to be able to create us. Before, when the universe was started in the Big Bang, there was only two chemicals together, but it was a chaos and then impacts, an explosion, negative stuff that created more complex things to create a better universe. So if you just look also at, I was saying the bad or good emotion, if you just say it just is, I have this emotion and it's just emotion, like your part of your mind that thinks or feels the emotions cannot tell the difference. It really can't. And you do things, your decision making is from emotion. I know I talked to Troy about it in person, and the reason I knew when the first time that when Trump was running against Clinton, that he was going to win 100%, because he was able to get people to feel emotionally. If it's a wall or something, he got people emotion. But Hillary couldn't inspire anybody, make anybody feel any kind of emotion. So no matter why anybody voted for him, it didn't matter. It just, they felt it and had a gut feel. They felt something because he was able to move emotions, and a lot of it was negative. He had hatred. He's talking about immigrants. He talked about the coal mine. He talked. He was in the middle of a lot of scandals with girls and stuff, but at least he created some emotional feeling. And in the back of your mind is, you got in that booth, you don't know why. You're not thinking about Hillary because it didn't make you feel anything. You just kind of checked off the box for Trump. It's just because it was an emotional decision, and that's what makes decisions. And one day we're going to talk about leadership and all that, and Simon Sinek, and that's why, again, or why Apple succeeded because they got you emotionally to buy that product, and why Martin Luther King became a great orator and became what he became is because he got you emotionally and believing what he believed in. And so everything is emotionally driven, or the decision is made emotionally, not through your front of your mind where it's you create with logic. Because that you could say, okay, then once you create the emotion, then you try to give it a reason why you did it. But emotionally is where the decisions are made. But just just don't even think as bad or good emotion. Just I want to have emotion so I could just strive. That's where the desire is going to come from. So just dig up, find out any kind of emotion, even if you have to create it because you hate something or something, but at least it's emotion, then you mix it with something, what you want, and you do achieve what you need or want.
Amazing. Was that great for you, Mr. Aaron?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend.
Thank
I'm so
you.
happy you're here.
Thank you. Everyone have a great day.
Awesome. Okay, we just got two more. We got Brendan. Go ahead, let's pull you up here, my friend. How you doing, Brendan? What did you get from this today? And do you have a question for Amy?
What I got from this, I think the main thing was that everybody wants something. That kind of stood out to me. And then what I want to ask you about was just as you're like achieving more and more in your life and you're climbing the mountain, how do you find people that are like trustworthy in your life that you can do life with and that are like loyal to you? Especially as you're climbing, right? And if like you said earlier, there's a very small percentage of people in the world that think like you or that use these principles, that understand this. So it's kind of like you're by yourself all the time. So like, and then the more you climb, the more people that don't think like you are going to feel some type of way about it. So how do you just have people that you can like just be a part of your life and they don't constantly fall off when you do something new, and then you have to find new people at the level that you're at, and then you fall off because you keep going higher, and then you're just constantly just cycling through different people throughout your life?
One, it's okay if they fall off. I mean, there's abundance of people, so you don't have to be attached to any one of them. And as you grow and you're open to yours, these people are going to be presented to you. It's just going to come in your life, and you have to make a judgment too. You'll be able to see through people very quickly if they're there for the right reasons, or they're there just for money, or they're there to manipulate things. I mean, it's one of those things. As you open up, and when you achieve success, your mind opens up more, and then your perception of people, you understand them more and stuff. But it is as you move on, people come in your lives, others will drop off, come in your life and drop off. But change is a good thing. That's what progresses you. So even people around you changing is a good thing. You don't have to be attached to any of them. I mean, you still have your family if you want to keep attached to them, and so on. But it's like if you're watching a movie, you see the movies and they're all bit players in your life, and they serve a purpose, to get you to your point. Some does negative, some pushes you more, and all that, but some get killed off, or you never see them in the next scene again. So it's just part of your growth and your life pattern, and you travel through life. If you stay stagnant, I know some people live in the same town as 700 all the time. They have the same people around them all the time, but they've never left that town, and they stayed the same, and they began their life that way and died that way. But that doesn't create the change, or doesn't create any movement in your life if you stay stagnant. So people in and out of your life is part of growth, is part of change. And you'll see you won't be as attached to them. The new people will fulfill roles that the old people were fulfilling, but in a better way, because now your mind is opened up, you're achieving things. And you want to surround yourself with people that can help you and think differently than your first group of people. Because the first group of people were all the people that thought negatively and criticized and didn't achieve anything. As you achieve more, then you're going to get more surrounded with people achieved more until to a level like I did, where I'm surrounded with just people who are billionaires, achieve great things, because then I learn and feel a whole different way about myself and the world by having that group of people. Like if I didn't, like I got the opportunity to hang out with Elon Musk at Burning Man, But if I didn't keep on growing, I hung out with him, you know, that he has a whole different view of life than the person that I grew up with at 13 years old. So it's that growth is good. New people in life is good, and you'll be surprised what these new people will bring to your life. And once you keep on moving and they drop off, no big deal. There's always new people come in your life. You won't be alone unless you decide that you want to be alone, which is again a decision as you grow you make. So never feel that's a negative. People coming in out of your life. It is just part of growth.
That's a great answer, Remy.
And then also just a follow-up question, sort of related. How do you deal with like things like betrayal, and how do you prevent it, and things like that?
Okay.
Do you? I remember I read a lot about Alexander the Great, and I remember the way he dealt with it was by like making an example out of them, and it was very brutal. They could be very close to him, like his child, his best friend, and he would just like kill them in the worst way possible, and
Right.
it'd be horrible. And, like, I don't know if that's the best way to go about life.
No, it's not. It's just those days and all that. It was all about power, raw power. And if you know back then, you know, when he died, Alexander the Great was only in his 20s or something like that. I mean, they had a different lifespan and stuff. But the way I've gone through a lot of betrayals and stuff. And if you hold on to it, it becomes such a negative factor. You just live by it. And it's just like when you're angry at somebody, it doesn't hurt them. It hurts you because you're feeling the anger. They've gone about life already. So I've always like thought about it, took the lesson from it, and forgot about it. I mean, the amount of betrayals, the amount of people taking advantage, all that, I can't even count anymore, but I don't even think about it anymore. But I succeed because I look, like I say, part of the way I don't look backwards. I move forward. So all that is in the past. It doesn't matter, you know, just they're out of your life now. You've learned that lesson and you go forward. And you will have other people betray, and it's the same thing. You know, you move forward, you don't think about it, cut it out of your life. But if you let it ferment in you, then all the negative thoughts will be attracted into you from the anger or jealousy, upsetness, and you're stuck in the past. And then it's very hard to move forward in a positive way and using these principles. Just know that it will always happen. It just is. It's a way of the world. People are jealous. People want to find a shortcut by doing stealing from you and stuff like that. But that's just because they don't know any better about the principles of how to succeed. And you will run into those people all the time. So if you keep true to yourself, I mean, there's always, even Gandhi got betrayed and was shot at the end, or betrayed by other people, or different people along the way of success, you know, they get betrayed. And there's that special on Cleopatra that's on right now on Netflix. I watched that, and when you see how Mark Antony was on the side, and then at the end she lost the country, but she got betrayed because all her army defected to Octavia. So betrayal will happen because, again, she was showing weakness. She didn't show the strength. Also, he got depressed because he lost one battle, so people lost confidence, and they all joined the other side. So it's really, I think history would have been different if the strength of if Mark Antony stayed strong and Cleopatra kept on being strong instead of being on a defensive. I think they would have probably beat. I think it was Octavia. Yeah. That was coming in to go after Egypt and stuff. So they made a lot of mistakes if you look at that. So there's a lot of betrayal, everything back then and all that. But it's really how you deal with it, you know. So they ended up both committing suicide, and it was anyway. So it's an interesting special. You could see a lot about betrayal, about how things not to do. I put myself in those places, say, "Oh, I would have done this differently," or if if I did this instead of what they did, things would have been different. But just let go of it. It's not important. You'll get betrayed. It's just something people do, and it's just not important. Don't hold on to any of it, and just fill your mind with all the positive things of future people that will come in your life that will bring you to the next level of where you want to be. And those people, you know, I always find that, you know, they end up destroying themselves. Like I was betrayed as one guy when I was just trying to come out of 5-6 years ago. I bought this one company, and this one investor came in. I'm just giving you a real life example. And he saw that I took it within 3 to 4 months, I tripled the sales of the company. He was jealous. So he tried, when I was getting institutional, he tried to put me away. He wanted to steal the company. He did a lot of things to betray me because he wanted to have that company and he thought he could do it better. But this guy got his money and to invest it because his father went to the hospital because of a hip injury and the hospital killed him. So he was given the money. So he never worked for it. So at the end of the day, when he was fighting for it and was in the hospital, I said, you know what? I don't care about this company. I have so many different paths to success. Here, you can have it. So I just gave it to him. And because he tried to betray and everything else, at the end, he ended up spending more money, lost all his money, went bankrupt, and now he's living in a teeny apartment in Studio City here. So people who do these kind of betrayals will eventually, you know, the universe will take care of them for you. You don't have to worry about what's going to happen to them because it's the way they think. They'll end up failing in life anyway.
Mhm.
So just let go of it, let the universe handle it, and you succeed. And I'm sure that guy now sees my Facebook page and all that, and he's like
Oops.
bankrupt and wish he didn't betray me, and still had my good graces to help him. But it's not. But he'll never be in my life again. Just let go.
So
Again,
Brendan,
long answer. Sorry.
yeah. So Brendan, I'm gonna say just be careful about what you give your attention to, because whatever that is you give attention to, that's going to put you in that vibe, and it's not going to help you. So you've got to pay close attention to it, guard your thoughts, and only use thoughts that are going to help you to get to where you want to go. Okay.
What was that movie you were talking about?
Oh, it's on Netflix. It's a series. It's on Cleopatra.
Okay.
Thank
Just
you,
came out.
Brendan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we got the last one here. Last but not least, awesome Armina. Let's pull you up here, Armina. You've been so patient. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much, Troy. This is fantastic. And thank you, Rami. This information is really awesome. I've been practicing actually all these principles for years and years, but sometimes I fall off the wagon. So it's good for me to hear it every week. Rami, the question I have for you, I've been always curious, is how did you like see the book Think and Grow Rich? Like, how did you come about to get to see that book? It's always been in the back of my mind because at 12 years old, that's a very heavy book for a 12-year-old.
I don't know why, but this guy, he was my only friend. I was a kid everybody beat up on. He was my age, and for some reason it was in his house, and so it's the way I was talking. He said, I think you'd like this book. And I got it from him, and I don't know why he had it. Maybe the universe wanted me to have it, but I resonated right away with it and read it 20, 30 times, and it just changed and it kind of reaffirmed what I believed even that young, but it put it in ways that I fully understood and everything. And then that's how I got the book. And interesting, the person who gave me the book, he had the book before I did, but that never did anything with his life. But so it does affect different people. If you either resonate or put it to work, or you don't. And I've definitely given that book out to thousands and thousands of people, and I could probably count one hand the amount of people that changed their lives or did anything with it. So I'm trying to do a better job now to get people to change their lives with that information by writing my own book and doing these talks and stuff. But that's if you're not ready for it, it's not going to resonate with you. You're not going to use that information. Because what it says is, oh, okay, it's interesting, and you move on. So you have to be ready for the information, ready to do what you need to do in life. And a lot of times it's a moment of crisis, and some people turn to God or something. But you have to crash to hit rock bottom to be ready for it. And that's because now you're suffering a lot of pain. Your mind is open, and now you could receive that information. So even if you have people you talk to and they're not ready yet, they'll be ready one day or something, or if they're going through something. But yeah, it was given to me. It's almost like the universe wanted me to have it, and I got it. And then it was up to me what to do with it after I got the book, and I decided to just use this principle and do what I did after that. So
that's fantastic. That's great. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for all these sessions. I get quite inspired. I have my stuff that I'm doing and my goals, and once in a while I just go, oh, I'm not in the mood, not today, not tomorrow. Before I know it, 3 days go by and go, okay, Okay, what did Troy say or what did Rami say today? And I'm just gonna do it right now. And so I'm here, I'm learning a lot and being reminded that we gotta keep going. And thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and your energy, all of you.
My pleasure. And the key word is, like you said, is right now. Procrastination is a big killer.
Yeah.
I will do it right now.
Yeah,
Amazing.
thank you.
Wow. What a beautiful call, Rami. Wasn't this amazing? Oh,
Yeah.
so good. So good. So from here, everyone, my reminder for you, as with Rami as well, you got to use the material. Don't let it sit idly by. Don't let it just sit like the book, just sit there, just doing nothing. Implement it as you study it. You know, this, I'll share with you something that's really super cool. As you go in to study the book, ask yourself this question. Rami, what are you really wanting me to understand? Now think about that. That's a powerful question. If you go in with that kind of intent, it's going to change how you receive the information. It's going to change how you read it. It's going to change everything. So before you go back, before you study, what are you really wanting me to understand? And then if we're going with that, it's going to help you a lot. Okay. All right. So everyone unmute if you could, and share with everyone here. What's the rule here? What's the rule? And let's see, make it so that you can unmute yourselves, by the way. I'll make it so you can unmute yourselves. Okay, go ahead and do it. What's the rule here, everyone? What's the rule?
Study.
That's right. And apply.
Implementation.
Application. Thank you. Thank you,
Do it
Rami.
now.
Thank you, Troy.
Application.
Okay,
Do it
be on the
now.
lookout for the replay.
Determination.
Amazing.
No excuses.
No
No
excuse.
excuses.
No alibis. Just do it.
Forget about the past and make the future. Bless us all for these two men. Yes.
Thank you very much.
For sharing
Thank you,
Troy. Sharing their knowledge.
Thank you, Rami. Thank you. Thank you, Rami. Thank you, Troy.